Saturday morning. Anti-wraps all in there. We got our, I can't see the screen to see what y'all are seeing. On these welds on these frames, you gotta kind of like that MIG like TIG method you see. You have to keep your heat focused on the big bar and then roll it into it. And some of them don't look perfect because you're welding upside down and you can't see under there. So you can't see what you're doing. So if it don't turn out pretty for you, that's what they make grinders for. But it wasn't too bad. I set the welder at 16 gauge. It worked out good, but we had to grind. And like I told y'all I did with the hole saw, I usually do it with a grinder. We had to do this one with a grinder to fit it, but it all welded up good. It didn't draw on me any, so I left a gap. Like I said in the other video, you leave yourself a gap. Take a piece of welding wire or whatever and just kind of put it in there, and then when your puddle gets, that molten metal gets on there and it cools, it don't want to draw as bad if it's got a gap for it to go into. But I tacked it 4 corners, pulled it out, welded it all up, and it went right back in there. This is done. We're gonna get on bump stops now. Now I'm gonna do how I would do this. It's like a common sense approach to this. Here's the bump stops that we got. I showed you guys last night. I already pressed it in the thing just so we can get an idea of the size of it and the length of it. Now the thing is, how much is that going to compress? It's pretty stiff stuff, but what I'm going to go with is, I know it's going to compress. If it does, those areas right there is where it's going to compress, and it's exactly 1 inch center to center, 1 inch, 2 inch, let's say 3 inches. We know that's probably going to compress 3 inches. So we'll write that down on the board, and that way I'll remember it, because I don't have a very good memory when it comes to stuff like that. 3 inches compression. Now how I'm going to do it is I'm going to get the jack stands out from under the axle, put the tires back on the rear, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put jack stands under the body right up in this area, drop the rear end down with the tires, if the tires will go on it like that. But anyway, we're going to put the jack stands underneath the body. We're going to drop the rear end down, then we're going to disconnect the shackle and flop it backwards, then put the tires on it, jack it up until they're in the fender wells. Hopefully we got enough leaf spring. Jack it up till they're touching, and we're going to back down maybe 4 inches and try that and see what that does. That's the way I'm going to do it. I think that'll work. If we get it a little too long, that's good. We just don't want it too short. I'm thinking it's not going to be that much of a deal, and we'll make it where we can adjust it maybe with something somehow. I usually don't run bump stops. I try to avoid them because it's hard on axles and parts and stuff. But when you want to run 40s, what the hell am I thinking, 44s? We want to run 40s, and we don't want them binding up and really breaking shit. So I'm going to say that's going to compress to about 3 inches. Now this is for an 8,800 pound vehicle, so they may not compress 3 inches. It's going to be a trial and error with bump stops. It always is. You just put them on there, see what you got, and go from there. So we need to make them adjustable as we can. Anyway, I'm going to get on it. I'll bring y'all back when I got the rear end dropped down and we're messing with that. We got a little bit of up pressure on the axle. fix that anyway. I'll go do the other side. Okay, both sides are off. Now, we're going to test as we go. Y'all watch the shackle. We're going to go up with it, probably way past where it would normally go, but I want to make sure we got good travel there. The rear end should move easily now. Okay, we're on the back on the springs. Let's see what we got. It's back straight. It's not moving a whole lot on the up, it's mostly down, which is understandable. It's more past center on the down than it is up before it starts lifting Jeep. This thing's not that heavy. It may not compress those as much as I'm thinking, but let's see if the tire will go on it right there, and then we'll go from there. I don't know if it will or not. Y'all do know that my neighbors think I'm crazy, but it's for a good cause. Let's go up with it. I don't think we're gonna have enough. We're gonna have to take the drop down brackets off most likely. It's got a lot of up, which is good. Haven't tested it yet, but with the axle it seems to have a lot. Shit, we ain't nowhere near it. That's crazy. Alright, let me take the drop downs off, then we'll go up some more. Put anti-seize on it too. Let me get the other side out. Alright, can y'all see up there? Let's see if we got enough now to stuff it. I hope so. Thing's got a lot of up travel, which is good. I got a mark on the shock. It's farther up than it's ever been right there. Okay. get a jack stand, and we'll do some measuring about right there, and then any more up, let's get something to measure at. It's 2 inches. So I'd like to be 2 inches in compression about right there. Mostly max compression right there. That way if there's any bounce of me coming over a tree or something at a wrong angle, it'll stop it from going any further than that. That's a pretty good fit right there. Now we can see how much down we got by watching our shackle, because we knew our shackle was straight up and down. We knew it was perfectly straight up and down. Yeah. That's a good, that's at least a good 6 inches up. See, we need to check the gas tank. Make sure we're all good in there. I got jack stands under it, guys, don't worry. Our shock's almost bottomed out. So that's where I'm gonna stop it at right there. I'm gonna stop it right there. That's gonna be it. We'll be at full compression, just close to full compression right there. Now, the only thing is, let's do something different here. Let me get the axle like so, like it would be. It's not ever probably going to be flat like this. So let me do some swapping around here. We'll get the axle angle. I want to get that truss flat. See how flat it is at this level. See what we need to do there to keep the bump stop on a flat surface. Alright guys, I don't know where I left off. I've been doing some deep thinking here, and this is what I come up with. There's a few different ways you can do this. Most people go right off the top of the spring perch over to contact the bump stop, but the way I drive and I get out there and give it hell, I'm scared of it slamming down on there, breaking these 2 U-bolts or stretching them or causing a problem. So what we're going to do is, we got pipe. Here's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to use. This pipe, the bump stop, and this is going to be our starter puck. I'm just going to cut it off on the lathe. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the pipe. The pipe's going to go from down there from the truss up to that length. Is what we're going to cut it, right? We're going to weld that pipe to the housing. So we'll just be touching that with the pipe. So then we're going to take our 1, 2, 3 inch compression. We're going to weld a nut and a washer inside here to hold a 3 inch puck cut off on the lathe out of aluminum. So that'll give us a good base for that to come down to contact. Hopefully it's wide enough. We're just going to have to line it up just right, because if we get off either way like that, it's not going to be good. So we'll figure it out. If we have to, we'll put a piece of flat plate up there too. Just this is the route I want to go with it right now, and we'll see what happens, where we go from there. We'll get it built and mocked up, and if I don't like it, we'll do something different. But I want this mounted flat because we are working with a unibody. If we run it down long, it's going to want to do that number and work on that. So we want to keep that up flat on there, and we could put it on the 2 factory mount bolts and just have him sitting there just like that. So it may change again before I'm done, but right now we got to start somewhere, like with the cross member. I'm trying to do this with one hand. going to cut on that pipe. I already did. I think it's 12 degrees. 14 degrees. Same as when we did the pipe. Set our 15 degrees. You're just going to have to eyeball it. I mean, if you do it this way. Get that flat and that flat there lined up by as good as you can. You're going to weld it so you can tweak it, you know, 1/16 of an inch. Alright, I'm going to cut it out. You know what sucks living by a train track? It ain't the train going by. It's every dog in the whole neighborhood barking. They don't stop. We got our 15 degree angle, 14 degree angle. And we're going to put it set nice and level. Now, when that axle goes up like this, it's going to tweak that spring and that point of contact that way. Now, I done jacked it up on one side and I measured how far it was traveling over this way, and it's about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to offset this 1/2 inch, which is almost right up against that spring below the bump stop, so when it goes up at an angle it'll contact it as straight on as we can get it. But I'm going to cut some things to length, get the welding. I'll bring y'all back when we're getting somewhere with it. Alright, it changed again. That's Mike, Big Mike, in his 6'2" F-250. Anyway, pipe's going to go down like this, and we're going to put our compression, our 2-inch piece, on the body. Make a bracket for that because we're going to have something flat and smooth down here. You know, we'll weld a round plate on there about the size of that. And do it like that. That way we got a big area down there for it to land on if it moves either way, and we won't have to shift it over so close to the spring. But we're just fabricating it, guys. You just got to do it how you can do it, and that's it. If it was a factory setup it'd be different, but it's not, so I think this will work. Next time you see it, we're going to be mounting some stuff on here. I'm going to get to work now. Mike stopped by to visit with us, and he's got his Dana 60 for the front of his ZJ in a machine shop, getting the housing rotated up where he can drive it. Alright, I'm going to get to work. What y'all think? It ain't welded on yet. Made a little flat on this side for the shock. Just compressed a little bit right there. I had to kind of wedge it in there. I'm thinking that's what we're going to do right there. I like it. We'll weld the pipe through the truss, and then we can make our compression pucks out of this aluminum to go under here. want to make a bracket that'll bolt all this together. Just put a hole through the center here, face that off, and we'll start with, I'm saying 3 inches of compression, and I think that'll do it. That plasma cutter makes things a little way easier. Oh, so thankful my honey got me that thing. She got me that thing for Christmas a year or so ago. Let's ponder at it for a minute. I do this more than I work. And we'll probably run a gusset from the bottom of the pipe down to the axle on both sides. And this way, if I get out here and get acting crazy and jump over something and it slams on it really hard, it'll have something to catch it. Alright, let me get busy. Anywho, I think I explained that wrong the first time. We figured that this will, it's touching it now, and the suspension's all the way collapsed. We're figuring this is going to compress at 3 inches. But I don't know if it's going to or not, so we're going to do it like this first. We're going to use that and this. That's 2.5 inches. And we'll get it all on there, and we'll be able to take this off and trim it to what we need it to be. And if it turns out to be way down there like that, and we got the bolt sticking up in here, we'll just thread this on down further and just make it the right length. But we're going to start out with 2.5 inch block. We'll just use that for now. I mean, we won't get too crazy with it, but we'll just see what it's going to do. And then if it's going to work that length, then we'll cut a big 3 inch round piece of aluminum to go down over this and then set that on top of, like so. But right now we're just going to use this for mock-up because I don't have anything bigger. I might be able to find a 1/2 inch socket or something that's bigger to help take the load where it don't bend our bolt right off the bat. But we're just going to put it on there like that and jack up on it and see what it does. But right now it's touching right there. So however much this compresses is what we're going to be making this little shim for. Then when we get it right, we'll keep cutting it till we get it right, and then we'll measure it, and we'll put a piece of 3 inch aluminum on the lathe, cut it out, make a spot for that weld to go into, and we'll bolt it all together and be done. And then the other side will be easy because we already know what we need to do. Anyway, I'm gonna get after it. Working on it. I had some guys, you know, saying that they wish they could weld better, right? Guys, if you want to learn to weld better, get on it. Just build something big. Go through some rolls of wire, go through some things, go through supplies. Eventually, you'll get it. I mean, it's not... I tell you, I'll give you an example. When Luke Burns built that TJ with the 6BT Cummins in it, he went through 22 rolls of wire. Now, I'm sure he's a lot better now with it than when he started. But I'm about done with mock-up. I'm fixing to put this thing on here, and we're going to start making our thing. It's about noon. I'm about to take a break for a minute, maybe. Let this cool down and get it on the... I could have welded one little more spot right there, but that's plenty good. That's 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch. See if it went through on the other side. I know it did, but yeah, you ain't picking that up. Oh yeah, that'll be there. I left that flat for the shock clearance on the shock and got it all timed right, so I'll get this side done and I won't video anymore until we get the other side done, and then we'll show it done. Guys, these welders are pretty damn good. You can weld thick and turn it down and weld thin. And this is pretty good for welding a 1/4 inch piece of steel to this body. I mean, it ain't perfect. Nothing paint can't cover up, but it's definitely there. Got that tacked. I'm gonna drop it all out now, weld that pipe in 1/4 inch thick. But Those are some good little welders. A 140 will do really good for what we do with the Jeeps. I got the 250 because you never know. But the 140 is about, hell, I think it's like $480 for it. They're good welders. That's my second tank of gas on this new welder and third roll of wire, big spool. So, alright guys, we're getting somewhere. Got the shackles back on, everything's back under it. We're going to do it like this. We're going to let this float on our stud. I know that don't look like much, but we don't know how much this is going to compress. But it's back at ride height right now. It's barely touching. So this is where it's going to ride normally. So what I'm going to do now is put the tires back on it. We're going to flex it. Either stuff that tire over there and let it come up, or come down on this one, which is probably what I'll do. And then we'll see where this floats up to. That's still gonna, yeah, that's still gonna, we'll go from there. We're gonna let it float right there. We're gonna stuff the tire. We're in the realm of it. I had it all the way till the shock was barely right there. So I just need to figure out, and it was just touching this at that point with the shock all the way up. So we need to figure out our width of our spacer to go in there now, the thickness of it. Anyway, we're gonna carry on. Everything's welded on. It's straight. We just got to figure out how big our spacer's got to be. I'm just gonna let that float up in there and see where we go. Change of plans. We're gonna go ahead and go with what we figured, 2.5 inches, no matter how close it looks, and see what we got then. And then we'll know a lot better what we need to be doing here. Alright, we're gonna go with 1.5 inch spacer. This thing would almost run without bump stops, but we got them. So we're gonna measure that right there. I'm gonna make one maybe a 1/2 inch, maybe 1 inch thicker than that, which would probably be 2 inches what we figured. Let's see here. I'm gonna make aluminum bushings that big. It's about 1 inch, so 2 inches would be perfect. Need to stuff it the other way, but that tire, I don't want the tire to go up much further than that. So we got 2 inches. 2 inches there and 1 inch there. Yeah. So if you extend this down 2 inches and it compresses 2, that'll be right at that 2. So I think it'll be fine. We're gonna try it at 2 inches. I'm gonna go make them on the lathe, set this thing back down because it's kind of, but that tire's off the ground. This is a dangerous way to do it. You should just really stuff it from the other side, but I can't move it right now, so it is what it is. But see, we had it way on up higher than that when we set it, so we're probably about 2 inches more. Yeah, there's our mark right there. So yeah, right there, 2 more inches up. So that would be our compression on that, would be about 2 more inches if we put it from right here. So we're gonna go ahead and stick with this 2 inch spacer, and that way we got plenty of hit if we hit something hard and it compresses hard. But that's high up there. Alright, I'm gonna get this stock here. I'm gonna go fire the lathe up. I won't video it, but I'll make two 2-inch long pieces and face them off flat, and put that in there, and we'll be done with one side, and we'll have all our measurements for the other side. It won't take me a couple hours to do the other side instead of all day. Plus I done cut out a lot of the stuff. Yeah, she's up there. Our bar looks good. I ain't getting under it, but alright guys, I'll let y'all see it when we're done, and then we're done for the day. Multitasking. Taking these down to exactly an inch, so if we have to stack them, we can, and we'll have a increment of measurement. For the weld, we welded that bolt. Call these the $1 million bump stops. There's probably a lot of different ways to do it, but I do everything the hard way, I think. It's gonna look nice though. I'm gonna start out at the 1.25 inches. Now, when we put our bump stop up on there, we're going to have to cut this bolt off and rethread it and all that stuff. But this is going to be like a test fit deal. And then when we get this side done, we got all our measurements written on the board. The other side will be a piece of cake. Let me get it all on there, and we'll take a look at it, see what we got. That's it. Suspension's loaded. And that's what our measurements came out to, which that's 3 inches. 3 inches from here to here. And we get 3 inches of compression out of this. So that should be 6 inches of up. And we can always keep shrinking this down and moving it up, moving it up, moving it up until we get it perfect. But I don't want to start out too thin right here. So till we get everything assembled, or we get everything on the back done, I'll do the other one tomorrow. I won't make a video on that. It'll be easy because I got all my math and measurements figured out, which is what takes forever when you're doing this. But this just screws off of there. It screws off, and we can shorten this and screw it back on there. The stud is way about right there, so we can just keep cutting it off and, you know, threading it up higher and higher and higher until we get it where we exactly need it. But this is going to be pretty close. I know it don't look like much up travel, but it's a lot if you figure in the compression. And this looks like it's leaning back, but it's when the rear end goes up, it straightens out, flattens out from when y'all seen when we were setting it up. When we were setting it up, we didn't have the shackle in it, and that was off, and the rear end was up high as I could get it to go. But when we flexed it a while ago, it was all the way up to there. So that's it, boys. I'm gonna do the other side the same way. We got plenty of clearance on our shock, on our flat spot here. Call these $1 million bump stops. Nah, not really. We gotta turn that. We can't have forward saying forward. We gotta spin that around. There we go. Now that's better. Anyway, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed watching this build, this part of it. I was actually dreading doing the bump stops. I have for years, for the last couple years, because it's so involved, and you gotta think ahead, measure, flex, do everything right, or you'll do all this for nothing. But we got plenty of adjustment here. I know if we put it all the way up to here, it'd be too much with the compression, so we either make this shorter or longer, whatever we need it to do when we get it all together. But she's there. Y'all take it easy. We'll holler at y'all later, man. Alright, bye.